And we were talking a little bit about the drains just now, so let's continue on that topic, because while the flood didn't come and we didn't drown, we may be drowning in hot air. So, okay, there was a big hoo-ha last week, right, or the week before. Some concrete blocks and sandbags were found in the drain. The Democrats at first said they were placed there by some other people.
Conspiracy.
And then more of these sandbags were found in another location, and then the Democrats or the BMA came up and says, this is part of our flood control measures. Then the minister jumped in. These were actually between our esteemed science minister. He actually jumped in and gave the BMA 15 days to remove these or face action. And the governor is being adamant about how these are part of his measures. So,
and this week they're actually meeting. So.
They're meeting, and we let's hope that some good things come out of this meeting. But share with us some details on this, Valerie.
The big question is, why didn't they talk before?
Yeah, why
this
blow
became
it up in the
such
media?
a ridiculous story in the newspaper, and again, it's people shooting off their mouth for the wrong reason. Look, there are things that are taken out of proportion all the time. We understand that. But you know what? It would have been so much easier to have a conversation and ask what's going on rather than come out and make all the statements, and it becomes front page news. And it's again the Pheu Thai versus the Prajati Party. It just, people are getting fed up with it, quite
The minister
frankly.
was not involved from the beginning. It was
No,
just
he
some
wasn't.
Pheu Thai MPs who were actually...
No, let's
give
our
expat friends and our foreign friends out there a little background on this. The BMA is actually autonomous area.
It's a BMA Act.
Okay. It's actually
Empowers
BMA. It's
them.
autonomous. However, it's still under the Minister of Interior,
Sure,
which is run by a different party. The Democrat governor is again, he's a Democrat. The Pheu Thai government is the Minister of Interior is under Pheu Thai. In reality, Bangkok is a special zone. It can actually do things by itself. The governor has his own budget. He can do a lot of things, right? So what basically the governor is saying, look, I'm responsible for Bangkok. Whether it floods or not, it's my responsibility. So at the beginning, the Minister of Interior, Kun Ploppersop, who's the head of this, World Wrestling Flood Federation.
Water Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, something like that, right? Kind of stayed away. Let it happen. What happened was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the streets of Bangkok started flooding. So we had a downpour, the streets of Bangkok started flooding. People wanted to understand why.
Right.
and it happens every year.
Yeah, but this year they wanted, because again, last year it didn't happen as much, right? This year it happened very quickly. So it became a situation where it probably was that the pipes or these big tunnels that the BMA had built were not letting the water flow through. So originally, some MPs from the Pheu Thai party decided to leave their parliament seat, go down in the drains.
For the first time, probably.
For the first time, was able to dig up sandbags and things like that.
Dig
and
up dirt. They were trying to dig up dirt on the
Well,
BMA.
and then they found some. They found some sandbags. They found rocks and all that. And immediately the Democrat Party says,
A knee-jerk reaction.
You planted it there. So the Democrats had a knee-jerk reaction.
This is what we talked about last week. There's just so much suspicion between each other.
What the realities, however, was that now the Bangkok governor, Mamrachwong Sukumpan Paripat, says, no, it wasn't planted. We actually went and did it so that we would divert water to not flood in very low-lying areas. So Minister Plopper, so basically, and the argument he's having with the governor is this is the wrong method.
Yeah, you know what he said? He says, why are you blocking water flow? This is wrong. Hello, what did you do last year? Didn't you block water flow?
Well, that's the whole point.
Exactly right. They blocked it completely.
And now he's saying blocking water flow is not standard.
So let's go off on that logic. Last year, the Bangkok governor plus the prime minister decided, right, that the way they were going to control the flood was to protect what is called the CBD.
Yeah, Bangkok.
Which is the
CBD.
Central Business District. So they started blocking water flow with this amazing thing called the big sandbag or whatever. Right?
Big bag.
And what ends up happening is Valerie goes underwater for 2 months. I go underwater for 2 months. The decision this year is very clear. Everybody will share in the suffering. That means water will flow freely. Okay, that was actually the policy I think that was agreed upon. Was that things would flow freely. Everybody gets a little bit of the flooding, but nobody gets as strong. So the question then becomes is, why is the Bangkok governor then not agreeing to this policy and starts blocking these pipes with these sandbags and diverting again? This is the fundamental question that the minister is asking.
And he should, because the reality is we're all trying to share. surely that all of these associations, all of these groups need to come together to say, look, we think we should do this because, and we all talk about it. This is the problem. It becomes this party versus this
exactly.
party.
The Bangkok governor and our esteemed Minister of Science is on this same water wrestling committee.
And I agree with Valerie on this, but I don't disagree that it's going too far. I think Thailand has become a better place.
Sure.
Because the media on this one, actually it gets to report on things like this. The only problem I have with the media is they take very small issues and then they blow it up. Right?
The big issues we never see.
Yeah, the big issues we never see. Look, I don't know. I'm not a flood expert, right? To me, if I just look at it as 1 + 1 = 2, right? I don't think you should block anything. Right? To me, if my pipes were clogged, the first thing I want to try to do is unclog it so that the water flows freely. What Mom Ratchonsakumpan is saying is, look, because we don't want certain areas to flood, well, by golly, you know, let's all areas flood.
And share as we should
So I don't
be
have
doing,
to suffer so much, right?
Okay,
But the problem is, the minister and the governor have got to agree. But obviously, we are starting to see now that having a national government of one party and a Bangkok government of another party, it doesn't seem to really work, right? Sure. I'm not advocating that the new governor should be a Pheu Thai person, but regardless, the first question that should be asked of the new Bangkok governor, whether it's a Democrat, an independent, or can you work? Can you work with the national government?
It goes both ways, Tom, because, you know, the budget is another issue. Whenever you've got a party in power and the governor is of the same party, the budgets are greater.
Yep.
They don't have to fight for the budgets. I mean, there's so many different issues.
There are a lot of people who hate me. I'll be the first to admit it, right? I have to work with them. I have no choice.
With both sides, with all sides.
Exactly. But it comes back to what? Checking your ego at the door. You are the governor of Bangkok. You are the Minister of Science and Ministry. The egos of Kun Plot Persop and the egos of Pom Ratchonsakumpan is causing this problem to happen. Check your ego at the door. Care more about me than you do about yourself, right? And then I'll love you.
Let's move on to the next topic now. Regardless of what we see happening in the local politics here, the survey of what, 1,000 expats by Hong Kong Bank?
I think it was even more than that,
more than,
actually.
Yeah, 5,000 expats. No.
Over 100 countries.
Yeah. And Singapore came out tops as the best place for the expats to live, and Bangkok was number 2 in terms of quality of life. Terms of quality of life.
Great.
Right? Now, this survey was done by...
And by the way, Bangkok has always been voted the best city in the world, too, by the way. You know, like by Condé Nast 2 years.
By Condé Nast,
yeah. Best city for tourism,
I actually went to New York with the governor of Bangkok to receive that award.
And actually
so I'm a fair guy. I go with both sides.
Yeah.
It's called a swinger, I think.
Okay,
so this survey was done amongst.
So what the survey says? What we're the second most desirable city for expats.
In terms of
for lifestyle and work.
No,
lifestyle and work.
I agree.
Yeah. Not for investment, not for business, but in terms of quality of life.
Yeah, I mean the other thing to me, what it says is that Singapore came up ahead, which is as one would expect, I suppose. Second was Thailand. Third was Cayman. So I don't quite know how Cayman came in when
Cayman is where they fund all their money.
Exactly.
No, but this is where they
but there's not a lot of business.
You know, the survey was done amongst
if you look at the
wealthier.
Yeah, if you look at the survey,
expats.
I'm very clear.
Yeah.
Yes. To do business in Singapore is much more easier than to do it in Bangkok.
Sure.
Right? The infrastructure is better.
It's in English.
The English language is there. They have tremendous amount of tax incentives. A good friend of mine runs Google, right? And about a few years ago, there was a decision whether Google comes here or Google goes to Singapore. It was very clear. Google decided to go to Singapore because of the tremendous amount of tax breaks and incentives they would get. So on a pure business side, I agree. If you look at it though, so on business side, it's Singapore. I want to be fair I want to be fair to the Bangkok governor. On this one, I think he's done a very good job because in the last 4 years that he has been in office, or 3 years, Bangkok has always been ranked 1 or 2 in all of the surveys.
And now it's also ranked the city with probably the longest slogan.
Before we go on to the longest slogan, can I just say that this is not about Bangkok.
This is Thailand.
This is Thailand, and I think there's a big issue, Tom, because we're not talking, if we look about the people that are coming here that are wealthy, the people that want the lifestyle here, clearly where the money is in Phuket.
Agreed.
Clearly where the money is. The business might be here. So the reality is it's got to be overall Thailand. Bangkok's got benefits, but Phuket, You're going
And
to
now
keep
we
on
have,
attracting.
and by the way, as of this week, we have a new slogan.
Yeah,
Adrian, you wanna
the
read it?
longest slogan, I've got to read it. Bangkok, glorious as if created by angels. The administration center, beautiful temples, glittering palaces, the capital of Thailand. And there will be 800 signs. There will be 800 new signboards now.
In so many different languages, including Russian.
Oh, I don't know.
Sorry, did you
I don't
finish
know.
reading?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You finished reading?
Yeah. It's the longest slogan ever, so we're going to win another award here, for sure.
It won't be a good award, let me tell you. The reality is that you need short, sharp, you know, this is, in my opinion, this is just a waste of time and money.
800
Reality-
signs. It's 800 signs. They've got to be pretty big because the slogan's very long.
The reality is, it's a nonsense.
Yeah.
We don't need all of that.
Or is it Bangkok, a city of what?
Glorious as if created by angels.
But
Already Krung Thep
But
is
but
related
run
to
by
angels.
devils.
Run by devils.
How about that?
Your friends.
Okay, we go for a break now. See you later.